can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Sports This Week with me, Rupa Ramani. I'll bring you up to speed with all the top stories from the week that was. We kick off the look back with superstar Cristiano Ronaldo, who sank down to his knees in tears after winning the Nations League for Portugal. What does this win say about his longevity and how he silenced a 17-year-old Spanish prodigy? What did he say about his future plans? A possible link-up with legendary Lionel Messi has got fans all excited. But football back home is only giving fans heartbreak and dejection. They succumbed to a humiliating loss to Hong Kong in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers, denting their chances of making it to the main event. What is plaguing Indian football, even as the federation comes under fire? The French Open concluded last weekend, and even though the two singles finals witnessed some jaw-dropping tennis, the tournament cast a shadow on France's ability to move with the times and host a smooth, incident-free sporting event. What were the faux pas and controversies that dotted an otherwise entertaining Grand Slam? The World Test Championship also took centre stage, but more than the resilience and skills on showcase from both Australia and South Africa, the highlight was 28 wickets falling across the first 2 days of play. Experts stayed silent on the conditions. We ask, is there double standards when it comes to the West, and them questioning India's doctored pitches? And finally, we end on a bittersweet note. Pakistan attempted to honour one of their sporting greats by unveiling a statue of Wasim Akram that generated a massive meme fest, with everyone trolling Pakistan for the botched up execution. All of those stories coming your way. The Nations League final between Portugal and Spain was a fiercely contested match that was ultimately decided on penalties, but there was more drama off the pitch. This mega showdown got even more special, with Cristiano Ronaldo clearing the air about his departure from Saudi Arabia and reports linking him to sharing the dressing room with another legend, Lionel Messi. But before we dive into that, let's talk about how the so-called too-old captain Cristiano Ronaldo led Portugal to defy all odds against a young, dynamic Spanish side. Portugal came from behind not once, but twice to take the game into penalties. While Nuno Mendes scored a stunning equaliser to make it 1-1, it was their captain Ronaldo who netted the crucial equaliser that truly mattered. The game then went into a penalty shootout. Spain faltered once, and Portugal only took full advantage to claim their second Nations League title. And at 40 years of age, Ronaldo dismantled a threatening Spanish side led by 17-year-old prodigy Lamine Yamal. This moment was massive for both Portugal and Ronaldo. He's won 3 major trophies for his country in the 21 years, while Portugal had none before his debut. But the real buzz was around Ronaldo clearing up speculations about his participation in the upcoming FIFA Club World Cup, his imminent possible departure from Saudi Arabia. Transfer rumours have been swirling for weeks, with Ronaldo being linked to clubs worldwide, potential destinations that could offer a shot at the club showpiece event in America.
You have to think about the short, medium, and long term. It's a decision practically made on my part not to go to the Club World Cup, but I've had quite a few invitations to go.
In other words, Ronaldo brushed off the tournament as an irrelevant one for now. So does this put the rumoured Ronaldo-Messi reunion in the same club to rest? Not quite. Beyond skipping the Club World Cup, Ronaldo opened the door to the possibility of playing alongside his longtime rival, Lionel Messi.
I have a lot of affection for Argentina. My wife is Argentine. I also have affection for Messi. I've had invitations to play the Club World Cup with Argentine teams, you know that. You never know, time is there. I am already 40 years old, but I always say never.
And with that, Ronaldo has teased the possibility of teaming up with Messi. Now it's up to clubs around the world to make it happen. The one thing Ronaldo's statement makes clear is this: although he's 40, retirement isn't on the horizon, at least any time now. And the Nations League final was proof of that. Despite not winning silverware with Al Nassr, Ronaldo is still a key figure in Saudi Arabia. The Public Investment Fund is pulling out all stops to keep their biggest trophy in the kingdom. But it's not just Saudi Arabia that needs Ronaldo. Even in the twilight of his career, the Spain versus Portugal match was billed as a battle between Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. Imagine this, a 17-year-old football sensation being pitted against a seasoned veteran, one of the oldest in the sport. Yamal has a long way to go, yes, but right now he's the hottest topic in football worldwide. He has the potential to take any team across the line. So, comparing Ronaldo and Yamal is basically saying Ronaldo remains relevant among the past, present and future generations. The Portuguese captain proved that in the Nations League. He may be critiqued for stretching his career, but he proves why this experience at his is needed the most. Had it not been for his hunger to win, Portugal may have slipped under pressure. But the presence of a star as big as Ronaldo did the trick. Sure, it's just Nations League for now, but maybe the next stop could be the World Cup. And like Ronaldo says, never say never. Indian football has hit a new low. A 1-0 loss to Hong Kong in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers has dented their chances of making it to the 2027 tournament. The squad looks disjointed, the fans are disgruntled, the coaching staff seem confused, and the management, they're scrambling for answers. But beyond the defeat, it's the tactics that have triggered serious questions about where Indian football is really headed. That match against Hong Kong wasn't just any game. It was a must-win for both the Indian team and their manager, Manolo Marquez. After a disappointing draw in their opening fixture against Bangladesh, India needed a strong comeback, a strong response here. One that could salvage their Asian Cup chances, especially considering history hasn't been kind to India in this matchup. They've never beaten Hong Kong on their home turf, and this time they were up against a manager who knows Indian football inside out, Ashley Westwood, the former Bengaluru FC boss. He already has a solid track record against the Blue Tigers, having led Afghanistan to win and a draw against India in the FIFA World Cup 2026 qualifiers. Now he's taken down India with Hong Kong too. But what's truly baffling is Marquez's plan. Despite convincing Sunil Chhetri to come out of retirement, he started out benched him in a crucial game. And when Chhetri did come on, more than half the match had already gone by, a clear managerial misstep. Under Marquez, India has won just one game in 8. They haven't scored a single goal in the last 3 games. Fans aren't just disappointed, they are angry. And now reports suggest that Marquez wants out. He has asked the AIFF, the federation that governs football here in India, to relieve him of his duties. Despite signing a 2-year contract, the Spanish manager reportedly wants to leave after just 11 months of being on the job. But here's the real question: what will that fix? While the results under Marquez have been poor, the issues plaguing Indian football is far deeper. The functioning of the All India Football Federation is under serious scrutiny. Several players have come forward claiming they haven't been paid bonuses from the 2023-24 season. Many are still waiting on match fees, daily allowances and other dues. And instead of resolving these concerns, the AIFF thought it wise to announce a cash reward of $50,000 for the squad if they beat Hong Kong. That's like offering candy to a child in exchange for good behavior. But what AIFF seems to forget is these aren't kids. These are professionals playing at the international level. Prominent voices within Indian football are now openly calling out the AIFF. And this is far from the only issue. The team appears stuck in the past. When Igor Stimac exited, there was hope of a fresh start, a new era. But instead of investing in young talents, the management turned back to India's greatest ever, Sunil Chhetri. A decision that unfortunately didn't work. And now, after the Hong Kong match, it's becoming more clear that we may have seen the last of Chhetri in India colours. That may actually be a blessing in disguise for the sport, for Indian football. And don't get me wrong, having Chhetri in your squad, in your corner, is a privilege. He's a huge asset. His passion, professionalism and work ethics, even in the twilight of his career, have been unmatched. But how long can India continue to lean on one man? When will they start planning for that future? Because football is still a team sport. One great player doesn't win you trophies if he needs support from the rest. If that were the case, Cristiano Ronaldo would have 5 World Cups to his name. Robert Lewandowski would have one with Poland. But that's not how the sport works. It takes a squad, a vision, a system to create a legacy and build a winning formula. That's why countries like Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Italy, and of course now Spain and France have consistently succeeded. They have banked on identifying and grooming talents along with a systematic functioning. Which is why, when politics entered Brazil football, even the great Seleção seemed out of order. What India needs now is a manager who can build a team from the ground up, someone who can scout talent, nurture it, and inspire players to proudly represent the nation. More importantly, they need a federation that clears dues before offering bonuses, one that backs its players and coaching staff with long-term support and not just knee-jerk reactions, because Indian football doesn't need another quick fix. It needs a complete reboot. And above all, it needs patience. The French Open ended with an iconic men's singles finale. World number 1 Yannick Sinner lost to world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz in a 5-set thriller, the longest in French Open history, breaking all sorts of records. A match that had fans on the edge of their seats. And just a day earlier, Coco Gauff overpowered women's world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka in a 3-set nail-biter. And while these epic matches made it a memorable Grand Slam affair, what may linger longer, though, is the wave of criticism directed towards the organizers. Accusations of bias, a conservative approach, and clear signs of prioritizing the men's event over the women's have put Roland Garros under serious scrutiny. Has the French Open lost touch with the times we are living in today? For decades, the French Open has been considered a crown jewel of all slams. The unique clay surface with its slow pace, the high bounce, demands a specific set of skills too. It's an art that one player was able to master till recently, of course, till he retired, Rafael Nadal. And while this year marked the first edition since Nadal's retirement since a while, the tournament began with the buzz surrounding the legendary Spaniard. But that excitement, sense of nostalgia only lasted a couple of days, because what followed was controversy. The biggest flashpoint: no women's singles matches scheduled during prime time night slots. For the 3rd year in a row now, those time slots were reserved exclusively for the men. Even world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka was repeatedly scheduled on court number 1, not the Philippe Chartier. Court 1 is a secondary venue with lesser crowd capacity. Her knockout matches were mostly pushed to afternoon hours, far from peak viewership timings. The reason? Organizers claim they wanted to put better matches in the night slot. That sparked outrage among some of the biggest names in tennis. Here you have the world number one playing exceptional tennis for some years now, asking for fair treatment when she shouldn't really have to. Her performances, her rivalry with Iga Swiatek, her hunger to win all have made her the face of women's tennis. There was also a huge uproar over preferential treatment in the men's draw as well. During the quarter-final match between Lorenzo Musetti and Francis Tiafoe, Musetti kicked a ball that unfortunately struck a female line judge. But he only received a warning for the code violation, allowing him to continue playing. No other punishment was given, because in a similar incident from the 2020 US Open, Novak Djokovic was disqualified from the entire tournament. Clearly, France had its own standards of code violation. They failed to uphold the standard of organizing an event and treating all equally, an important prerequisite for any event. Clearly, in Paris, certain things still seem to be stuck in the past, even though the sport seems to have advanced and made rapid strides forward. While other Grand Slams, for example, have embraced line technology for increased accuracy, Roland Garros still uses traditional line judges who can only be overruled by the chair umpire. Yes, tradition is valuable, but so is progress. And this resistance to adapt when it comes to certain aspects, it's becoming a bit of a pattern and a habit with France in particular. Remember the Paris Olympics last year, billed as the most eco-friendly games ever, and kudos to attempt that. What followed, though, was a series of missteps that was clearly not thought through. Poor nutrition options for athletes who were there at the village, most uncomfortable rooms to stay in. It's one thing to pursue sustainability and the quest for it. It's another to sacrifice players' comfort in the process. What's becoming clear is this: sports in France needs a cultural shift, not just in logistics or planning, but in mindset. A mindset that welcomes change, that respects rising talent and gives sport across all events, categories, the platform it rightly deserves. That's what was missing from the 2025 edition of the French Open. Sure, the Alcaraz-Sinner final will go down in history as one that will define this era for men's tennis. It'll be remembered just as much for all that went wrong too. Test cricket's biggest spectacle is underway. South Africa and Australia are battling it out to be crowned world test champions. But the final has turned out into a bit of a bizarre affair, because the conditions on offer might see the match finish in less than 4 days or thereabout. Now, while it's great to see bowlers having the upper hand occasionally, a result in just 3 or 3.5 days highlights the double standards in the cricketing world here. Had this happened in India, all experts would have sharpened their knives already, ready to go to war. But because it's happening in England, there have been no remarks made at all. Everyone's remained silent. After just 2 days of play, the WTC final was already 75% done. If not for the resilience of Stark and Carey, we could have seen the fourth innings get underway on the same day itself. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying the pitch is entirely to blame. The batters also showed a clear lack of patience most of times. Had they held onto their ground, this wouldn't have looked like an unplayable track. Steve Smith and Bo Webster showed in the first innings that patience paid off, taking Australia's total to 212. Had more batters from both sides shown similar grit and tenacity, things might have gone a little differently. But the real question is, if the same situation had occurred in India, experts would have been very quick to blame the conditions. Just to recap what happened at the WTC, Australia were bundled out for 212 in the first innings. South Africa managed just 138 in response, and Australia in their second innings at the end of day 2 were 144 for 8. 14 wickets fell on each day, the first 2 days. If 28 wickets had fallen across 2 days in India, then they'd have questioned India as a host. We've seen this before, especially when Australia and England have toured the country. There have even been calls to suspend Indian venues from hosting future matches over such pitches. This narrative has been going on for years. The mind games start before the series even begins, with former players like Vaughan blaming losses on the pitch. But maybe Vaughan needs a reminder. It's India that is keeping Test cricket alive. The dip in Lord's ticket sales, falling prices, was because of India's absence in the WTC final. But we won't go down that road today. Truth is, whenever India are involved, conversations around playing conditions and the pitches on offer seem to almost always crop up. Even during the ICC Champions Trophy that was held across two countries, UAE and Pakistan, there was talk about India getting favourable treatment, the same conditions because they were playing in a single venue. This conversation echoed throughout the tournament. So basically, whenever India or Indian conditions are involved, that's when the pitch debates all start up. Otherwise, it's silence.
If these 28 wickets had fallen in India in 2 days' play, the Western media would have created an uproar as to how such pitches can be allowed. India is doctoring pitches and killing Test cricket. When it happens in England, it's called a sporting pitch.
Despite bowler-friendly conditions here in England, no one has blamed the ICC or the curators here. What the experts see is an even contest between bat and ball, because this argument spins in their favour. When the WTC final concludes, the talk will likely focus on South Africa choking or Australia faltering against a side that has finally earned redemption, but not about the pitch. Just a mere reflection of the bias that continues in the cricketing world. The state of Pakistan cricket is in complete disarray. The current generation has repeatedly failed to live up to the expectations of its fans and the nation. And no matter how hard the cricket board tries to revive the sport and the dying interest among the fans in the country, it only keeps backfiring. Even when it's about honouring a legend, it turns into one big joke. Pakistan recently decided to pay tribute to one of its greatest cricketing icons, sporting icons actually, Wasim Akram. A life-size statue of the legendary pacer was unveiled at the Niaz Stadium in Hyderabad, Pakistan. The state-of-the-art tribute was unveiled back in April, but it only grabbed global attention recently, and for all the wrong reasons. Fans showed no mercy in calling it out for its bizarre and unrecognizable appearance, no likeness to the actual legend. It's great that Pakistan wants to remind its cricket lovers of the stars who once ruled the sport. Beautiful gesture, especially now when their recent performances on the global stage have lacked that teeth and intensity. They're no longer title contenders, just mere participants. Their rivalry with India, for instance, has turned rather one-sided, and geopolitical tensions cloud their sporting ties with their neighbour. On top of all of this is the larger concern, dwindling fan turnout and interest even for ICC events that's being hosted at home. A massive fall for a nation that once lifted the World Cup. Back in the day, names like Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis and Imran Khan made Pakistan world beaters. They were the backbone of their cricket in the 90s, and yet today even their own players seem to have forgotten that legacy.
I am a big admirer of the cricketers from the 1990s. But when we talk about their legacy, it's clear they didn't bring home an ICC trophy. They were part of the World Cups in 1996, 1999 and 2003. And despite our strong performances, we lost each time.
Yes, Hafiz won the Champions Trophy in 2017, but his own World Cup record is equally underwhelming. More than trophies, it was the fierce, consistent performances of those 90s superstars that really put Pakistan on the world map, beating teams like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India and Sri Lanka. That's what strengthened their legacy, which is why Hafiz's comment was seen as disrespectful and he faced severe backlash. The statue, in theory, was a tribute, a reminder to celebrate an icon who contributed to those glory days. But in execution, it became the exact opposite of what the cricket board had hoped for. A feeble attempt that was viewed as one to live in the past and not the reality. Not just like their cricketing structure, Pakistan wants to rise from the ashes, but seems like every move is taking them a step back and not forward, irrespective of what some of their cricketers may feel.
India is 10 years behind Pakistan and dreams of defeating us and being our equal. Pakistan is the fastest growing country in the world with the most advanced technology.
What Pakistan cricket needs right now isn't more tall claims from its former players, not even comparisons to India, just to stay relevant. What they need are actions that speak louder than words. Not resurrect statues that do no justice to their heroes anyway, but try and rebuild their cricketing legacy instead. And anyway, if Pakistan truly is advancing in technology like they claim, then surely they should be able to tell the difference between Wasim Akram and Sylvester Stallone.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka kaljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 euro.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.